Okay, so I just got back from a really long day trip. We woke up at about 7 o'clock, we headed out at about 8, and we got back at 7 o'clock. So I feel very tired, I feel very exhausted. You might be able to kind of see it, the sun is starting to set. That feels kind of thematic, not me being tired, but the sun's starting to set because the sun has set on the DreamWorks Marathon. I had said during the Bad Guys that since I'd already seen Puss in Boots, technically The Bad Guys was the last movie I had to watch to have seen all of DreamWorks' theatrical films. But we weren't gonna not watch Puss in Boots 2 again. A, just to make sure we finish the marathon, it all kind of seems right. And 2, because it's probably their best movie. I think it's phenomenal. My opinion, I have now seen it thrice. I saw it. Sorry, I wasn't trying to flip anyone off. I feel like some of the figures were missing and it looked kind of bad, but I've seen it thrice, twice in theaters and then once here at home. I think the movie is consistently funny. I think the characters are consistently either funny, interesting, likable, or some combination of the three. And you need at least one of those. I want to be entertained. I want there to be funny shit. I want there to be cool action. I want characters to work off each other well. Puss and Kitty work off each other great. Puss and Perrito work off each other great. Perrito and Kitty work off each other great. And then you throw in Horner, who's voiced by John Mulaney, and he's fucking hysterical. You throw in Goldilocks and the Bears, and the way they work off each other, like, I really like them. This is a lot of fun. You get some of the weird set pieces, like, hey, the pocket full of posies, there's these giant man-eating plants, unless you stop and smell the roses. Like, this is a really fun idea, and wow, these plants are fucking gnarly. You've got the baby unicorn horns turning people into confetti. You've got, the Pie Factory, which is not a very long scene, but it's still a fun scene. You have Puss confronting all of his past lives, and I love the scene where he's like, you guys are jerks, which is very confusing for me. I love that! Like, it's arguably my favorite scene in the movie, because I love how it just is, this is Puss's character development, and you can fucking see it. The fight scene at the end of the movie with everyone on the wishing star is so cool. Like, it's just, the whole movie is just gorgeous. It's all cool. It's all entertaining. And I love the themes. It's about trust. It's about valuing the life you have and not pining for lives you don't, or the lives you don't have anymore. There's something really beautiful about that. One thing I'd never really thought about the first 2 times I watched it is when Kitty tells Puss that she didn't even go to the church in Santa Coloma. She's like, yeah, I knew I could never compete with your one true love, yourself, so I didn't show up to our wedding either. I never considered that she was lying. The first 2 times, I just kind of thought, okay, so yeah, the first 2 times I thought to myself, oh, so every time she's brought up Santa Coloma, she's just trolling him. And I know you didn't show up. I didn't either, but I know you didn't show up, and I'm just gonna, make you feel guilty, make you feel like shit, because it's funny as hell to her. I love that. But I did kind of think, but you don't get that scene until after she hears that Puss regretted not showing up. And when he says that, it almost kind of looks like there's this weight lifted off her chest. Like this sense of, he genuinely regrets what he did. He genuinely feels sorry for what he did. And the Puss I used to know would not feel that. Like, it was so easy to be mad at him. So easy to bring that up. But I don't feel like I can do that anymore. So her telling him, yeah, it's fine, I didn't show up either, is kind of her way of saying, I forgive you. It's like, it is essentially what it is telling to Puss directly is, you don't need to feel bad anymore. Hey, I didn't show up either. You're fine. There's no guilt to have. There's no judgment on my end. But from one perspective, it is just kind of her way of letting go because I feel like if she just said, you're right. Like, yeah, it fucking hurt, but okay. It's fine. Especially when you think about what is her wish. I want to find someone I can trust. I feel like it's the kind of wish that you make when you get left at the altar, when you genuinely trust someone and want to have a partnership with them and they leave you out to dry. And as she's kind of talked about, she's like, yeah, this is not the first time that kind of shit has happened to me in my life. It's this constant cycle of trust and betrayal, and I'm sick of it. I want someone that I can trust wholeheartedly and not get stabbed in the back. So I feel like she did show up at that church. She feels that Puss stabbed her in the back, and she's 1000% correct to think so. Puss fucked up doing that, which he even admits to. And I feel like her saying that is to take the guilt off of him, make him feel better, but it's also what kind of lets her move on. And I just fucking love that, man. Like, it's subtle, but it's there. And who knows? That might not be what happened at all. It could be that 1000% she is telling the truth. I can see both, and I really like both, because I feel like they both make sense for her character. They're both interesting. They're both, I feel like one is more funny than the other, than is interesting, but the other is also really interesting. And the whole movie is just like that, man. There's just so much good shit. There's so many good jokes. I haven't even talked about the wolf. This is the second DreamWorks movie in a row to have the big bad wolf. And I like Mr. Wolf from The Bad Guys. Again, I love heist movies. I love that, being super suave, super competent, wearing the nice suit and all that, like the plan just going smoothly. This wolf kicks his ass, though. This wolf is one of my favorite characters in the entire DreamWorks marathon. I love him. I love his voice. I love the shit he says. I love the line when he's first meeting Puss, and he says, I don't remember how it is exactly, but it's something along the lines of, everyone says they'll be the one to defeat me, but no one has escaped me yet. When you first watch it, not knowing what's going on, you're like, this is just a bounty hunter talking shit. And he sounds so bored when he says it too. It's almost kind of wistful, almost like, I wish there was someone who could live up to the hype, but no one ever does, and I know no one ever will. Which I really like as well. But it just sounds like a bounty hunter who's like, yeah, I mean, everyone says this shit, what are you gonna do? Knowing that he's deaf, that just sounds like so metal. And I can't tell you how many times I just quote him, where I'll just do the, or the way he says the word absurd, where like, I'm not a cat person. I find the very idea of 9 lives absurd. So that's just how I say the word absurd now, and I fucking love it. What's the other thing I quote from him? Okay, so pick it up. Pick it up. I quote that relatively frequently. There's another, the slow, slappy, sad. I quote that too. I don't always have good opportunity. I don't even know if I always say it out loud, but it lives in my head rent free. And then of course, almost right after, you're not living up to the legend. Gato. I just love it. Like, he's just so cool, and the shit he says is so cool. The way he says it is so cool, and he looks so cool. He's like a fucking Dark Souls antagonist, like that. Oh gosh. I remember when I watched it in theaters the second time, there was a kid who, after that first scene with the wolf, was like fucking terrified, and I was laughing to myself. But it wasn't like what a stupid kid, he's scared of a movie. It was dude, if I was your age, I would be shitting myself watching this guy. It's a no judgment kind of laugh. It's like, I know I'd be doing the same shit, and that's why it's funny to me, man. Oh, it's just fantastic. It is phenomenal. To me, it is a perfect movie. There might be okay, maybe there's a minor thing here. Maybe this joke didn't quite make me laugh. Maybe the animation in this one specific 2-second frame looked a little off. It's phenomenal. I love everything about this movie. Excuse me, sorry, I just had dinner, and apparently dinner wanted to say some shit about the movie too. I do want to do a big DreamWorks video. I want Clay to be on it as well, because we watched all the movies together, where it's just, here is our cooperative DreamWorks tier list. This is going to be the double S tier movie. I don't know if each of us are going to have a separate double S and a separate bottom of the fucking barrel, or if it's just our cooperative, this is what we overall think is the best, this is what we overall think is the absolute worst. This is going to be the best one. It's Clay's favorite, and it seems like it's kind of his favorite by a mile. For me, it's really, really hard to not pick this movie. And there have been some movies I have fucking gushed over. I know I was saying the other day when I was saying, like, yo, The Bad Guys, I think it's overall, it's above average, but not great. And to me, that kind of sums up what DreamWorks has been over. Sorry, I just noticed my hair looked a little weird. To me, that is kind of what DreamWorks is overall. That does not diminish the movies that are fantastic. I do think there's a lot of movies that aren't good. I think there's a lot of movies that, to me, just feel kind of mid. But when they knock it out of the park, man, it's a fucking home run. Some of those movies, I adore. Shrek 2. Like, some of these movies I adore, and then it's just the fucking monkey hitting the cymbals together. But Shrek 2, Prince of Egypt, Kung Fu Panda. I love the Kung Fu Panda sequels, not as much as the first movie, but I love them. I think Megamind is phenomenal. I gotta say it. I fucking loved Boss Baby 2. I don't think it's quite as clever as the first movie, but I think some of the cleverness in the premise, which was fucking bonkers to say, but having watched the movie, I actually think the premise is really clever. I think some of that is still in the second movie, but I think it has all of the heart that the first movie didn't have for me, and it's so much funnier. I just, like, had another one or two. I love the first How to Train Your Dragon. Sorry, I had to scratch my finger. I love the first How to Train Your Dragon. B-movie's fucking hysterical. Like, I had a blast. The Trolls movies I thought were both fantastic. There are some genuine fucking bangers. There's also 43 total movies, so I don't know how many movies I named. I want to say, the original Shrek, of course. I forgot that one. But it's like, yeah, I feel like overall, it is above average with some, but it's still kind of, The bangers are phenomenal. 100%. But can I really look at those movies and go, yeah, this one's better than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This one's better than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. The main character is fantastic. The villains are all fantastic. Your side, like your crew, is fantastic. Your, like, score and your songs are just fantastic. Your jokes are fantastic. The animation's fantastic. I have to see Del Toro's Pinocchio because apparently it was better than this. And if there is an animated movie that is better than this, which there are some that I would still prefer. I mean, you'll never hear me say a bad word about a Toy Story movie. Toy Story's on all four of them. So when I say Toy Story, I don't just mean the first one, I kind of mean them all together. Is on a very short list of my favorite movie of all time. Spirited Away is on that list. Casablanca is on that list. Off the top of my head, that's kind of it. There's a lot of other movies I fucking adore. But when I think my favorite, it's those. So there are animated movies I like more than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It's in my upper echelon. Like, I don't have a full ranking. Like, these are all my favorite animated movies. Like, when I look at, like, Pixar's best movies, aside from the Toy Stories, I don't know where I'd rank it, but I feel like it would rank high. When I look at a lot of my favorite Disney movies, like Zootopia and Lilo and Stitch and Aladdin and Jungle Book, like, those are my, like, golden four for Disney. Where would I put Puss in Boots 2? I feel like it would be higher than Jungle Book, as much as I fucking adore Jungle Book. Then I don't know. I would have to really think about it, but it would, at the absolute worst, be in my top 4 for Disney. I don't think I would put it above Zootopia. I don't know if I would put it above... And anyways, regardless, I don't want to go on like a full tangent of like, this is where it would rank in everything, but that's, spoiler alert, it's gonna be the fucking double S tier. I genuinely don't think, Kung Fu Panda fucking resonated with my soul when I watched it. I like it a little more every time I see it, and I fucking fell in love with it watching it as part of the marathon. And I remember watching it and thinking, this might be the movie that beats Puss in Boots 2. And as much as I fucking love it, and as much as it just, it hit me, not like where it hurts, but like the core of my being. I still would say I like Puss in Boots 2 more. It's that fucking good. If you have not seen this movie, go watch it. You owe it to yourself to watch it, because it is a fucking masterpiece.